I never thought I'd be the guy sitting here writing a story like this, but here I am. My name's Jake, and I've been with my wife, Emily, for about 8 years now. We've got a little girl on the way. She's due in a couple of weeks, and honestly, I thought we had a good thing going. We had our fights, sure, but nothing that suggested anything seriously wrong. We were planning a future, talking about names, buying baby clothes, the usual stuff. So it hit me like a ton of bricks when I started noticing tiny little things that, at first, I dismissed. Emily's been acting weird lately, more irritated than usual, snapping at me for no reason. She's been secretive about her phone, hiding it when I come into the room or trying to snatch it away when I walk near her. I thought maybe she was just stressed, pregnancy hormones maybe. But then I noticed her phone was always open to some messaging app I didn't recognize. I'd catch her glancing at her phone and quickly locking the screen or deleting messages. She'd brush it off like I was imagining things, calling me paranoid. Said she was just stressed from the pregnancy and that I was overthinking, but it wasn't just that. She started staying out later, claiming she'd be at her friend Kimberly's house, but I'd find out later she'd been with her childhood best friend Tyler. They'd always been close, but I never thought anything of it until I started seeing her texts. They were flirty. I mean, not outright explicit, but they had that vibe. Can't wait to see you, missed you today, that kind of thing. I ignored it at first, telling myself maybe I was just overreacting. Pregnancy hormones, remember. But then I found out she'd been sneaking out to meet him after I'd gone to bed, spending hours at our place while I was away on a business trip. That was when the red flags finally blared in my head. I remember the moment I first found something concrete. It was late one night, and I was supposed to be working late at the hotel. I came home earlier than planned because I wasn't feeling great. I was exhausted and I just wanted to surprise Emily. When I got inside, I noticed her phone lying on the kitchen table, notifications popping up. I glanced at it without thinking, stupid move, and there it was. A message from Tyler, timestamps matching the nights I was out of town. Can't wait to finally feel your lips again, it read. My stomach dropped. I wanted to scream, but I kept my composure. I knew I had to confront her. This wasn't just some innocent mistake, as she'd later try to tell me. Those words kept ringing in my ears, just a mistake, like that makes it okay. That moment, I felt my world start to crumble. I couldn't believe she was doing this while pregnant, while we were supposed to be building a family. I felt this strange mixture of anger, betrayal, sadness, and disbelief, all swirling inside me at once. I wanted to shout, cry, break something, but I just stood there staring at her phone, realizing everything I thought I knew about her was a lie. She had been lying to me, hiding her phone, sneaking out, and now I had proof. All the signs, her secretive behavior, her emotional distance, made sense now. She'd been sleeping with Tyler, her childhood best friend, right under my nose at our house while I was away. And she's standing there trying to deny it, insisting it was just a mistake. That's when I knew I'd have to do something I never thought I'd do to make her pay for this betrayal. I couldn't sleep that night after I found those messages. My mind kept racing, thinking about all the times she'd lied, all the moments I missed, and the fact that she'd be willing to cheat on me, especially now, when we're about to have our kid. I kept asking myself how she could do this, how she could be so callous about it all. I mean, she's 8 months pregnant, for God's sake. What was she thinking? Was she so selfish that she didn't care about the damage she was causing? I felt a mix of anger and heartbreak that I can't really put into words. It was like my whole world was tilting on its axis. The next morning, I decided I couldn't let her get away with lying anymore. I needed to confront her face to face, get some answers, or at least see how far she was willing to go in denying it. I woke her up early, and she was still half asleep, rubbing her belly, looking all innocent. I looked at her, and honestly, her face was so transparent, her eyes darted around, avoiding mine like she knew she'd been caught. I just blurted out, "Who the hell is Tyler, Emily? What's going on? I want the truth." Her reaction was immediate and honestly a little too quick to dismiss. She sat up, rolling her eyes like I was bothering her, and said, "You're overreacting. It's nothing, a stupid mistake. It's not what you think." She tried to brush me off, but I wasn't buying it. I pressed her, asking her to explain those messages, those late nights, the secret calls. That's when she started to get bitchy, defensive, and outright lying. She said, "It's just sex. We're not in love, it's not a big deal. Tyler's my friend, that's all it's been, I swear. It meant nothing. She insisted it was just a mistake, like that somehow excuses everything. I couldn't believe her. The way she said it, so casual, so dismissive, like she was trying to brush off the biggest betrayal of my life. And I got mad, really mad. I told her she was a selfish bitch that she couldn't just throw away our marriage and our family like it was nothing. I explained how much I trusted her, how I never expected to find out she'd be cheating on me while I was working my ass off to support us. I told her I felt broken, because I did. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut and I wasn't sure how I was supposed to keep going after this. Her response: she started crying, but not because she was sorry, more like she was annoyed that I was making a big deal out of a stupid mistake. She said, "You don't understand. Tyler's been there for me through everything. It's not like I'm cheating on you with some stranger, it's just sex, Jake. It's not like I love him or anything, I was lonely. I didn't mean for it to happen, I swear." But her words felt hollow and her tears just made me angrier. How could she say that? How could she belittle what she did like it was nothing? At that point, I realized she wasn't going to be honest with me, not really. She was just trying to minimize it, to make herself look like the victim. That's when I knew I had to decide what I was going to do, whether to forgive her, to try and fix this, or to cut her out completely. Because honestly, I was exhausted from the emotional roller coaster, and I knew I couldn't keep pretending that everything was fine. The betrayal ran so deep, and her attitude about it made it clear she didn't see anything wrong with what she'd done. That realization hit me hard. She was willing to lie, cheat, and dismiss my feelings just to keep Tyler in her life. I never thought I'd be in this position, but I knew one thing for sure. I couldn't stay with someone who didn't respect me enough to be honest. After that morning, everything felt different. The air was thick with unspoken words and tension I couldn't shake off. I moved out of the bedroom that night, not because I wanted to, but because I couldn't stomach sleeping in the same bed as her, knowing what I knew. The house suddenly felt too small, too suffocating. I stayed in the guest room trying to piece together what to do next. I was shattered, honestly. Part of me wanted to scream, to throw things, to confront her again and demand the truth. But another part, the more rational side, knew I had to think this through. I kept replaying everything she'd said, trying to find some loophole in her lies. It was impossible. She convinced herself that her mistake was just sex, just a moment of weakness, and that she'd somehow be able to brush it aside. The problem was, I knew better. She didn't see it as a mistake. She saw it as a way to fill some void, to get something she was missing. And Tyler, her childhood best friend, he was just convenient. That realization made me angrier. How could she throw away everything we built, our family, just to have a quick fling with someone who's been in her life forever? I decided I needed to gather evidence, not to use it against her now, but to understand the extent of her deception. I started checking her phone when she wasn't looking, going through messages, looking for more clues. I found plenty, more flirty texts, photos, even some sexy selfies she'd taken. It was eye-opening and sickening at the same time. Every message seemed to confirm she'd been lying to my face for months. I also started noticing little things around the house, her sudden vague excuses for being out, the way she'd avoid my gaze when I asked questions. It all pointed to a web of lies she'd spun, and I felt like I was slowly unraveling it. Meanwhile, Emily was still insisting. It was just sex, Jake. It doesn't mean anything. Tyler's just a friend who got me through some tough times. I didn't mean for it to happen, I swear. I love you, I do. It was a stupid mistake and I want to fix it. But her words, her tears, they didn't mean shit anymore. To me, she was just trying to manipulate her way out of the mess she created, the same way she'd been lying from day one. The more she talked, the more I realized she was incapable of taking responsibility. Instead, she was trying to gaslight me, make me doubt what I'd seen and read. One night, I finally broke down. I sat there staring at the wall, trying to hold everything together, but I couldn't. The betrayal was too deep, and every thought was spinning in my head. I was about to become a father, and instead of feeling excited or hopeful, I felt hollowed out. I kept asking myself how I missed all the signs, how I didn't see her slipping away from me. I was supposed to be the provider, the protector, yet I felt helpless. It was like I'd been hit by a freight train and all I wanted was to wake up from this nightmare. But I knew it wasn't a dream. It was real. And it was only the beginning of what I knew would be a long, painful road. The days that followed were a blur. I found myself oscillating between numbness and rage. I would go from sitting alone in the house, trying to process everything, to snapping at her when she'd try to talk. I couldn't even look at her without seeing the betrayal in her eyes, the way she'd lied through her teeth. Every time she tried to justify what she did, I'd feel my blood boil. She kept insisting it was just sex, like that made it somehow okay, and that Tyler was just a friend. I couldn't understand how someone could be so indifferent to what she'd done, especially to me and the baby. One evening, I decided I needed to confront her again, this time more direct. I wanted her to understand how deeply she'd hurt me, how this wasn't something I could just brush off. I sat her down in the living room, looked her right in the eyes, and said, "Emily, I want to know why. Why did you do this? Why cheat on me right here in our house with Tyler of all people? I thought you loved me. I thought we were building a family. How could you throw that all away for some meaningless sex?" Her reaction was infuriating. She rolled her eyes, sighed heavily, and said, "Jake, I told you it's not a big deal. I made a mistake and I regret it, but I love you, I swear. Tyler's just a distraction, that's all. It doesn't mean I don't want us to work things out." Her words made my stomach turn. Distraction, mistake. She acted like it was some minor slip-up, like she just lost her keys and not committed the biggest betrayal of our lives. I could see her trying to manipulate the situation, trying to make herself the victim. So I'd forgive her easily, but I wasn't buying it anymore. I told her, "You think saying that makes it okay? You think I'm just going to forget the fact that you've been sleeping with your childhood best friend in our house while I was out working? This isn't some petty mistake, Emily. It's a betrayal I don't think I can come back from." She huffed and crossed her arms, acting like I was overreacting. "You're being dramatic. It's not like I'm some cheating slut. I was lonely. You were gone and Tyler was there for me. It's not like I love him or anything, I swear." I felt my fists clenched, my voice rising. "Lonely? Are you kidding me? You're pregnant, Emily. You're about to have my child and you think it's okay to screw around with your childhood best friend. That's just disgusting." I couldn't hold back the anger anymore. I told her that she was selfish, that she was throwing away everything we built together, and that I didn't know if I could ever forgive her for this. She started crying again, but her tears felt hollow. It was clear she was more upset. That I was upset than genuinely sorry for what she'd done. I saw her trying to spin it, trying to make me doubt myself. Maybe I was wrong about us. Maybe we're just better apart. I don't want to lose my family, but if you're going to be like this, maybe it's better that I do. Her words cut deep. I realized she didn't see her betrayal as a mistake she had to fix. She saw it as a reason to abandon us. It was like she'd already made her decision. I sat there, feeling completely shattered, wondering how I got to this point. How did the woman I loved, the woman I was going to spend my life with, become this stranger who could lie and cheat so easily? I didn't have an answer that night, only a sinking feeling that I was facing one of the hardest choices of my life. The next few days were pure hell. I couldn't focus on anything except the betrayal that had ripped my world apart. Every time I looked at Emily, I saw the woman I loved turn into someone I barely recognized. Selfish, manipulative, and utterly indifferent to the damage she'd caused. I kept replaying her words, her lies, and the fact that she'd been sleeping with Tyler right under my nose. That thought haunted me. How could she do this? How could she look me in the eye and lie so effortlessly? It made me question every moment we'd shared, every laugh, every plan for the future. I felt betrayed, humiliated, and honestly, pretty damn broken. I decided I needed to take control of the situation. I couldn't just sit around waiting for her to decide what she wanted. I started planning my next move carefully, methodically. I needed to gather more evidence, not because I wanted to hurt her more, but because I needed clarity. I started going through her phone when she was in the shower or asleep. I found more texts, more photos. She'd even taken some sexy selfies for Tyler, apparently thinking I'd never find out. Seeing those pictures, a surge of anger shot through me. How could she be so reckless, so disrespectful? I also discovered she'd been deleting messages, but I learned her pattern and I made sure to save everything. Meanwhile, Emily kept insisting she wanted to fix things, to work through this. But her tone was mostly desperate and manipulative. She'd cry, apologize, then turn around and lie again. She told me she was sorry for the hurt, but I couldn't see any genuine remorse. All I saw was a woman who wanted to keep her secret lover and dismiss her betrayal as a mistake. That made me even more furious. How could she be so callous? How could she act like what she did was just a lapse in judgment? One night, I finally confronted her again, this time more openly. I told her I'd been digging through her phone, that I knew everything. Her face went pale and she started to panic. She begged me not to do anything rash, to give her a chance to explain. I told her I didn't want her explanations. I wanted her to understand how much she'd hurt me, how broken I felt. I looked her straight in the eye and said, "You're a liar, Emily. You've been lying to me for months, sleeping with Tyler right here in our house while I was working away. And you think a few tears and some stupid words will fix this. It doesn't work that way." Her response was to get bitchy, dismissive even. She snapped, "You're overreacting. It's not like I did anything serious. It's just sex, Jake. It's not like I love him. He's just a distraction. You don't understand what I've been going through. I was lonely and I made a mistake, big deal." I could feel my blood boiling. I told her that her mistake was ruining our family, that she was destroying everything we'd built. I told her I was done pretending everything was okay, that I was done with her lies. That night was a turning point. I realized I couldn't keep living with her, not like this. Not after everything I'd uncovered. I knew I had to make a decision, whether to fight for us or walk away for good. I was tired, emotionally drained, and I knew that whatever I chose, my life would never be the same. The betrayal was too deep, and her attitude, her dismissiveness and outright disrespect, made it clear she didn't truly value what we had. That realization was the heaviest weight I'd ever carried. In the days that followed that confrontation, I knew I couldn't stay. I couldn't keep pretending that everything was okay, that her lies didn't cut so deep I'd never fully recover. I sat her down one last time and told her I was leaving permanently. I explained that I needed to protect myself and my unborn child from her betrayal, that I didn't trust her anymore, and that her actions had destroyed whatever fragile foundation we'd had. I didn't want to hear her sob stories or excuses. I just wanted her to understand that I was done. Packing my things was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. Every piece of clothing, every reminder of our life together felt like a dagger. I left the house knowing I was walking away from everything I'd ever known, my wife, my family, the future I'd dreamed of. But in some twisted way, I felt a strange sense of relief. A weight had lifted, even as I was heartbroken. I knew I had to rebuild my life from this mess, and more than anything, I wanted to do right by my daughter, who deserved stability and love, not a mother who'd betrayed us both. Since I left, Emily has been trying to contact me, begging for another chance, claiming she was sorry, promising she'd change. Honestly, I don't know if I'll ever forgive her, and right now, I don't even want to hear it. Trust is shattered beyond repair. I've learned a lot through this, things I wish I hadn't had to learn the hard way. That betrayal cuts deep, and sometimes people you love can turn into strangers in an instant. I've realized that no matter how much you love someone, their actions reveal their true character. And sometimes, love isn't enough to hold everything together when the foundation is already cracked. For anyone out there reading this who might be in a similar situation, my advice is simple. Listen to your gut. Don't ignore the signs, and don't let anyone make you feel like their betrayal is just a mistake. Because once trust is broken, rebuilding it is nearly impossible. Protect yourself and your sanity, and never settle for someone who dismisses your feelings or treats betrayal lightly. I may be hurting now, but I know I'll be okay. Because sometimes the only way to move forward is to walk away from what's broken and find a way to start fresh.